What was said in the closed meetings, both with Prime Minister Netanyahu and President Isaac Herzog. On the ground, it's what Israelis were very happy to hear. The relations are very strong. There's no diplomatic crisis following the attack, as you mentioned. But in closed discussions, Rubio did raise the fact that the United States, as was mentioned publicly by President Trump, is clearly unhappy with that Israeli strike in Qatar last week, and with the fact that it seems that Israel is not doing everything that it can in order to end the war in Gaza, but at least publicly everything that was said in the press conferences is what Israeli leaders like to hear, most notably about the fact that Hamas is the main obstacle for a ceasefire in the area. Let's listen to what the Secretary of State had to say in the press conference today.
Some fundamentals still remain that have to be addressed, irrespective of what has occurred. The reality of it is we still have 48 hostages. We still have a Hamas that is not only holding 48 hostages, they're holding Gaza hostage, and they're using civilians as human shields. There's still a dangerous element, and as long as they exist, as long as they're around, there will be no peace in this region.
Jonathan, any reaction in Israel to what's coming out of the Islamic Leaders Summit in Doha?
No direct reaction, Jamie, but a very interesting comment coming out of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. In between all of the press conferences with the visiting U.S. Secretary of State, Netanyahu also attended a conference of the Israeli Ministry of Finance. And in there, he said a comment which is quite astonishing. Netanyahu said that due to the diplomatic isolation in which Israel finds itself, and due to the fact that the world is divided into blocks and Israel is not a member of any bloc, the Israeli economy will probably become in the coming months sort of an autocratic market, meaning without a lot of relations with the international market. And this is, of course, an Israeli market which up until just a few weeks ago was very open to the European Union, to the American market, and saying that Israel will become sort of a self-dependent without a lot of relations with the international community. That's something that is quite astonishing. His comments already drawing fierce criticism from the opposition, which is saying Netanyahu, on one hand, creating a diplomatic isolation and creating an economy, a market which will now have to depend on itself without any international cooperation. On the other hand, Netanyahu not taking any responsibility for that diplomatic isolation and for what it may mean for the Israeli market. A very remarkable comment by Benjamin Netanyahu. Does not relate directly to the conference in Qatar, but clearly sends a message to what is coming out of there, as Netanyahu is saying that Qatar is investing a lot of money in isolating Israel.